Hello, I'm Lunabelle Charms, but some of you might remember me as Lunabelle272 from my time collaborating with other streamers back a few years ago. After I disappeared, I kept quiet, prepared to forever try to hide and distance myself, all because of what a friend did to me. Luckily, through all this time, I realized the shame and embarrassment I felt is not mine to bear at all. For so long during my time knowing that friend, I felt like I had to be understanding, patient, and forgiving. But that friendship was deeply emotionally abusive and scarring. Sadly, due to my already struggling mental health at the time, I couldn't see it. I just thought my friend needed some support. I just didn't realize how much it was hurting me until everything blew up. So today, I'd like to tell you what happened from everything you might remember on streams to what was happening behind closed doors, and hopes we can all start anew together afterwards. Disclaimer, this is my perspective of actions that were done to me by my at-the-time best friend. I'm not making this video to stir up drama or attack anyone. I wish no harm to anyone. I do not support any type of harassment or cruelty to any party mentioned in this video. I am making this video for transparency to the community I left in hopes to rebuild trust, to speak on my experience for healing, to get out my side of things after all the lies that have been told about me to so many people, as well as to bring awareness to abusive friendships which don't get talked about enough. To help amplify her tracing controversy, to alert those she made commissions for. I hope by sharing my experience, I can help someone else recognize the red flags sooner than I did, and to help others who might be struggling with similar situations. This all started when I was 19. She was 19 too. Let's call her V for now. We met on VR chat and became really close. Right away, from the beginning, the friendship had problems. V had this habit of comparing herself to me, constantly belittling herself in ways that made me feel just awful. She would say things like, "You're so much better than me," or "I wish I was like you," and no matter how much I tried to reassure her, hype her up, or told her that comparing isn't fair to either of us, she never stopped. At first I thought she just had insecurity issues. I thought if I just supported her enough, like a good friend, she'd eventually believe me. In hindsight, I feel like I was manipulated, which made me feel scared to stand up for myself. But constantly putting herself down in comparison to me made me feel responsible for her self-esteem. She tried to ensure I would never stand up for myself successfully when she started treating me like garbage. As time went on, we lost and gained other friends. I started streaming us playing video games, just being goofs. This was an on and off thing for me. V had a YouTube channel that would kind of later blow up, and a fandom we ran. It was fun. She took up streaming as well, and soon our whole friend group were streamers. We would stream a lot together. Then, slowly, everything started to change. I felt like many people in the group were starting to see each other more as content sources rather than friends. It felt simply dehumanizing in a way. Mainly, this was all stemming from V's influence. Hanging out became only streaming. This made me pretty unhappy and made me feel like a circus entertainer for V. But I adored them all so much, I just tried my best to get over it. With V's YouTube channel gaining popularity, V's insecurity issues came something more of a mean imposter syndrome. I feel like she enjoyed to take out her frustrations and any negative emotions out on me. Random belittling comments at me and not stopping when I would tell her the jokes she's making about me makes me feel hurt or uncomfortable. And always trying to embarrass me in front of guys, making it seem like me being a 5'9" woman was somehow the grossest thing ever, as well as body shaming my chest size because I simply wasn't a double D. She would also make comments insinuating she felt my intelligence was lower due to her belief that people with learning disabilities inherently have low IQs solely because of their learning disabilities. From our context, I have ADHD and dyslexia, and no, your disability does not inherently mean that you are low IQ. No matter how much I would tell her that and explain it to her, she just didn't want to believe me. Don't get me wrong. In the beginning of the friendship, I did try to stand up for myself. But no matter how I handle it, no matter how kindly I tried to explain that her words were hurtful, things just got worse. I regrettably told her my triggers and some of the darkest points of my mental health journey, which she then proceeded to use them against me every time she felt like she was losing control of things. Even after I would try to have a heart-to-heart with her about my feelings, she would twist my words, my intentions, even scream at me before hanging up, then shutting me out completely while telling every one of our mutual friends how I was being so mean to her and I need to apologize. Everyone would be so mad at me. I would choose to bite the bullet every time, or else all of my friends would cut me off. I've been through a lot in my life. I have CPTSD due to many things, including SA, multiple shocking experiences starting from a young age, being groomed online, and I am a DV survivor. V also had her share of awful experiences, but she expressed to me that her experiences didn't really affect her. She was able to brush them off with ease. She would talk about them in a really casual, even joking way, sometimes even on stream. The problem was she started comparing our experiences. She would do so on stream in front of an audience, and her audience was of a largely underage based viewership. She would seemingly brag about how many more creepy encounters with men she had than me. She would gloat about how men were more obsessed with her than me, as if my experiences were something wonderful, all done in a competitive fashion I never signed up for. I knew full well that the trauma I experienced was too mature of a topic for those young kids to be hearing about, and she knew I felt that way, that I couldn't say anything, which felt like she was trying to embarrass me while putting the spotlight on her. It felt like she was making fun of me for not telling my experiences. I don't know if she thought that this was funny, but to me it wasn't. I told her how much these experiences have hurt me. I told her how deeply they have all affected me, and yet she's acted like my trauma isn't real enough to deserve empathy. It's like she didn't think what I had been through was bad enough to count. At this point in the friendship, I stopped telling her when she hurt my feelings because every time I did, somehow I was the one apologizing by the end of it. If I didn't, she would give me the silent treatment until I caved, because everyone would then be mad at me. It was utterly crushing. This is something you see a lot with abusive people. They don't just want attention, they want control. They want to dictate the narrative, even when it comes to trauma. At some point, she got into a relationship with one of our friends, which is great, except for the way she started acting around me. She would constantly bring up her boyfriend's body in front of me, sometimes even in front of the rest of the group. His arms, his torso, just over the top comments about how hot he was. She would try to get me to agree with her to say something about how attractive he was, all while he was taking off his shirt and posing. I did not want to engage. I made it very clear. Nope, I'm looking away then. Nope, I'm good. Nope, I don't want to see my friend like that, but she just wouldn't stop. It reminded me of that scene in Mean Girls when Regina tells Katie to compliment Aaron with his hair pushed back, except worse, because she was talking about her own boyfriend's body, and I didn't want her boyfriend. When she was doing this, it felt like she was suspecting me of being interested in him, so she kept doing it, in which I would leave the call. It was so uncomfortable and weird to me. I still do not understand why she did this. Then it escalated. She started sending me private messages with him, texts, where she was clearly trying to show off that she got him excited. I hated it. I never wanted to see that, but I felt so alone and uncomfortable I just blamed myself for feeling uncomfortable. I would always respond with something along the lines, "You crazy kids, haha," and then she sent me a selfie, a picture that only her boyfriend should see. I felt sick. I never wanted to see this. And it got even worse when I found out through her admitting she knew I didn't want to hear about her sex life or see what she had sent me. She told me she was fully aware that I had never consented to any of this. Yet, she did it anyways. At this point, I was breaking down. I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't eating, and I was crying all the time. I finally had enough, and I just blocked her. I didn't want to talk to her. I couldn't. I knew how she'd react. She'd get mad at me, call me a liar, call me jealous, and turn all of our friends against me. But that's exactly what happened anyways. One by one, our mutual friends cut me off. Not a single one reached out to me to ask what happened. They just believed her. Soon I learned she made an announcement to her followers telling them not to talk about me anymore and threatening to ban whoever did. She made up some fake story about an amicable split, but I knew she was dishing a twisted story on me to her closest friends and supporters. I was so scared about getting harassed by our fans, I quit streaming entirely. I deleted all my social media, and I just disappeared. Fast forward to 2025, 4 years later, I had been working on my art, getting all my ducks in a row to start streaming again, and even start making YouTube videos. I was now on some medication for my anxiety issues, and I had been working on my mental health and was doing worlds better. My confidence was finally not only recovered, but even stronger. Then, I got word from multiple people reaching out that B had been stalking my social media, belligerently going on to make fun of me, my art, my boyfriend for all these years, along with a twisted narrative she told everyone that I made her, quote, choose people, and that I, quote, went crazy, and that's why I'd suddenly blocked her. For all these years, she had been keeping tabs on me while continuing to shit on me to seemingly everyone and anyone. She had also been sharing some very traumatic things, such as the abuse I endured from one of my exes, my complex relationship with my deceased father, and even a twisted story about how a mutual friend of ours threatened to kidnap and hurt me into one where he was just madly in love with V, solely focused on her. After all these years, I was shocked and saddened to hear she had been doing all of this. Shortly after I learned this, V was exposed for tracing her art, including commissions in which she stepped away from content creation completely. With that, I feel comfortable in saying that V was the VTuber melly Mayumi. Even now, with her out of my life, I'm still on my way to heal from the impacts her actions have had on me. Luckily, through her tracing controversy, I was able to make up with some old friends, and even make some new ones. Sadly, I think this Melly situation will always follow me in the form of nightmares and emotional flashbacks, which I've been dealing with since. But I've also learned and grown a whole lot since then. You don't own toxic friends' endless patience. If someone is constantly trying to push your boundaries, it's not an accident. If any of this sounds familiar to you, please don't ignore it. Don't wait for it to get worse. You deserve better. Truly. I'm so thankful I was able to reconnect with a lot of lovely people that I've missed, in which I found out that this community, in fact, does not hate me. Even with all the time that has passed, it's been cathartic and healing to be welcomed back so warmly. Final thoughts. I hope Melly knows she deserves better, to do better. I never hated her. I still don't. I hope this is understood to be me explaining what I've been through and not something to hold against her for life. I truly, with my whole heart, wish her nothing but to find happiness, growth, and positivity in life. So, what now? I plan to get back into streaming with some art streams, some horror games, some Infinity Nikki, Minecraft, and much more, I'm sure. As for this channel, I am excited to start many OC design projects and redesign videos in the works, all on this YouTube, as well as to post stream highlights here and there. So stay tuned, don't go anywhere. With this clarity, I hope we can start a new leaf and leave all of this behind us. Thank you so much to everyone watching, and an extra special thanks to those who are still watching me from my earlier streaming days. Thank you so much, endlessly. Laters.